Hey everyone, this is Chris and you're listening to One Cross Radio, and today we are joined by the always awesome and fantabulous Bex from Redeemed Otaku. Bex, how are you doing today?
Konbanwa! I'm doing fine. It is evening over here and over there too.
It's true.
Yes, it is evening.
It's true. It's 7:04 on a Tuesday. So
thank you for I'm sorry, don't mean to interrupt you, but thank you very much for having me on your show.
No problem. Thank you for joining me, and I know in about we'll say 20-25ish minutes I'm going to be thanking you for having me on your show, just because we are doing something interesting today that I'm really excited to do, just because I had a blast doing a Goofy movie watch along, and I remembered you messaged me saying you enjoyed that one a fair bit.
Yes.
So then I was like, it's interesting doing this without having someone to feed off of and make like observations with. So then I know I had such a great time doing the Pokemon Origins episode with you, where we watched it separately and then compared notes. So then I'm like, Bex is really good to watch stuff with. Her reviews are always on point. And then I think there's been once or twice where you've posted a reaction or something where as you've been watching something, I was like, all right, yeah, no, I got to do this with her. This would be great. So then it was a challenge of figuring out what to watch, what's something good that's not a movie, because that's much longer of a commitment. But what's also something where we're both going to appreciate. And I think we found something good. It's something I'm always down to watch, and you expressed some willingness. So we are watching, dear listeners, we are watching the first 2 episodes of Power Rangers Zeo. They are called A Zeo Beginning Part 1 and Part 2, and I am so excited. I do not hide at all how much I love Power Rangers. It is so much fun. My fandom of it has only gotten much deeper in adulthood than it ever did in childhood. And I have so much fun with it. But Bex, you're someone who really, really enjoys so much stuff that comes out of Japan and Japanese culture and that kind of entertainment. So what's been your exposure and your enjoyment out of Power Rangers, would you say?
Well, I watched Power Rangers back in the 90s, early to mid 90s, and when they hit the States, and it was under the production studio, was it DeEk? I think it is
Saban.
There you go, Saban. Yes, Saban, that's right. So I watched it, and of course I knew that this was from Japan, except for the American actors and all that. But I loved it, and didn't really watch much after 96, because that was when I went off to college, and didn't get a chance to watch any of it past that. So I remember up to I think it's the Dragon Zord.
Oh, wow.
The Green Ranger.
Wow, that's early.
I think that was the last bit that I watched with Power Rangers. Yeah.
The Green Ranger was he was first introduced in season 1, and he was gone by the first quarter of season 2, and then around the halfway point he came back as the White Ranger.
Now I remember seeing the White Ranger, of course I followed it and everything. Not I shouldn't say I followed it, but when I'm home from college and it was, there's an episode of Power Rangers, the White Ranger, but I didn't watch it faithfully like I did before then. Right.
So,
yeah.
Okay, that's fair. I know I've mentioned it before, I loved it as a kid. And I was a firm watcher of it up until they lost me at Turbo. Going from, and it's so funny just because when you look at I've watched a couple of the episodes of the Sentai, and Turbo was something entirely different, and even the actors themselves are like, nope, we appreciate that we were part of it, but Jason David Frank, who went from the Green Ranger to the White Ranger to in Zeo, he was the Red Zeo Ranger. But then when he was the Red Turbo Ranger, he's like, I'm just another guy now. I don't have a fancy shield. And you're going from like dinosaurs and mythical beasts to space things, because the Zeozords were like stars and griffins and stuff. And then funny. Weird giant things with like numbers and symbols. And then you're at cars. Like it's a downgrade.
Oh, it's like Voltron.
Yeah.
The vehicle Voltron sucked. It was only the animal Voltron that's good.
The later Power Ranger seasons that were more car themed did it better. And the second half of Turbo I've heard was great, and out of episodes I've watched it was good. But you're just like, wow, this is just it. Around that time, Power Rangers wasn't cool at like nearly as cool as it was. And then when you get to like, okay, it's cars. It was a lot it lost its cool factor, and then it just wasn't as good.
Yeah.
All right, so before we kick this off, dear listeners, if you are, feel free to please watch this along with us. We are watching on Netflix.
Yes.
So far as I can see, every season of Power Rangers is on Netflix, which is awesome, including the current season Beast Morphers, which I've seen 2 episodes of, and it was really enjoyable. So I want to get back to it, but just some info on where Power Rangers was, just because Power Rangers is now one of those things where it's in the pop culture lexicon. It's something that's known.
Oh, yeah.
But 90% of the time when you think of Power Rangers, you think of Mighty Morphin. You think of you think of the Tyrannosaurus Zord, the Dragon Zord. You think Mighty Morphin Power Rangers. Like, if you think Star Trek, you might be able to name Picard and Kirk, but you'd be less familiar with Deep Space Nine, or for any of the wrestling people out there, you might think like, oh, that's that thing Hulk Hogan and Stone Cold Steve Austin did. But if you drop anybody from Japanese wrestling, unless you're a big fan of it, you're going to be like, who the heck is this guy and what are you talking about? So this was Power Rangers, I'd say, first big departure. At this point, it's the 4th season of the show, and it is the first one with a total makeover. Between seasons 2 of Mighty Morphin and then season 3 of Mighty Morphin, they changed the Zords, so they changed the powers, they changed Sentai footage they were adapting from, but they kept the suits. Rita was still the villain, Lord Zed was the villain, they added more Japanese villains, but it was still, like, it looked the same throughout the seasons. Zeo was the first time where they're like, okay, it's new Zords, it's a new command center, it's new suits, it's new powers. The fitting of the title of A Zeo Beginning is fitting because it was a new beginning. It is the 4th season of Power Rangers overall, but what we mentioned earlier is it's adapted from a long-running franchise called Super Sentai. Bex, you might be able to pronounce this better than I will, so please correct me if you can. It's the 4th season of Power Rangers overall. It is the 19th season of Super Sentai, and it's adapted from the Churiki Sentai Oranger. Sorry if I butchered that. It's adapted from that one. It's insane. 19 seasons in comparison to 4. So that's the context of the show and where the show was at, but now we're going to do a little last time on Power Rangers. Been wanting to say that for a while. So just to put where we're at, how the episode got here, especially if you didn't watch Power Rangers, or if you haven't watched it since you were a kid, the Rangers returned from the past with parts of something called the Zeo Crystal, with a new character named Tanya returning in Aisha's place, because reasons.
Which one's Aisha?
Aisha was the second Yellow Ranger. She replaced Trini, who was the first Yellow Ranger, but she stayed back in time in Africa and sent Tanya in her stead. Let's not try to think about how that will mess with the time continuum and all that, and why her parents just suddenly moved there, even though it's generations and all that. Because it is a kid's show after all.
Stop asking questions.
At times it's appropriate, and other times you're like, look, your head will explode trying to understand. So at the same time, Rito and Goldar broke into the command center after planting bombs underneath it. They then stole the Zeo crystal and set off their bombs as they teleport away. Zordon and Alpha immediately teleport the Rangers away despite their protests because they want to stay and save Zordon and Alpha. As they are teleported outside, they turn to see the command center explode. And that leads us to Power Rangers Zeo. So, Bex, are you good to go?
Yes.
All right, I am pressing play.
I am pressing play as well.
There's a funny still of people looking awkwardly at me right now.
Oh. Let me turn the volume down here.
Yep.
Ooh, stronger than before. Yes!
Yep. I really, really dig this theme song. It's legit probably my second favorite one. Actually, no, third, because Power Rangers in Space is just a friggin' ridiculous opera. Hey, Johnny Young Bosch, your boy.
Why is he my boy?
Well, you last time we were talking, you mentioned when we were talking Pokemon, you pointed out like he's done a bunch of voices. Right. So
yeah,
I'm like,
voice acting,
you'd recognize him.
Yeah, that's true. Okay.
Yeah, no, that's why he's your boy automatically. So yeah.
Ooh, the mobile suits or whatever, they look cool.
The Zords, the Megazords.
There you go. See, that's how long it's been. It's been like 30 years. Sorry.
Legit for me, 3 weeks. I was on episode 10. Yeah, I really dig the theme song because it updates you where they're at. The Stronger Than Before. Ron Wasserman is friggin' awesome.
Yeah.
Oh, Goldar. Goldar's awesome. Oh my gosh. The volume is so loud. So what's kind of funny is Goldar, like originally he was just overdubbed from the Jew Ranger footage. But then as they added his American voice and casting, he got a lot less sinister and more comedic. Yeah, much more comical. Oh, the dramatic readings and moments. And then, of course, the spot of all of them, all the Rangers, for whatever reason, they have to wear... The clothes has to correspond to what color Ranger they are.
Of course.
Because otherwise...
Well, that's so... like the... I don't know what I'm trying to say. That's very, very... For the kids, to know which character they are.
Never mind that you'll see them like in the suits but with their helmets off. Nope, we need to make sure.
But it's very American, I guess you could say.
Yeah. Well, it's something that happened a little bit because I did watch the some of the Sentai because you can find it on shoutfactory.tv. And they own the rights to stream it, so it's all legit and legal. On a side note, what's crazy is the command center is actually, it is a museum or something, or part of a museum, I think in California. So that's,
is it?
Yeah, it's great. It's cool going into the weeds and finding out.
Go visit it.
I know, right? Like, the other day in a Facebook group, Bex and I are part of, they were like, hey, we should all organize like a fun Christian Geek Con. And I'm like, let's do it in New Zealand so we can go to Middle Earth, we can visit the Power Ranger sets and friggin' I think part of Doctor Who is filmed nearby in Cardiff. Like, let's just go.
Oh, there we got the villains.
Yep, we got so the guy who voiced Lord Zed passed away recently, which sucks.
Oh, really?
He was like, his voice is awesome. Lord Zed is so gangster. What's kind of funny with this is you'll be able to see what is clearly the American footage and the Japanese footage.
I love the Rita character. I think she cracks me up.
Oh, Rita's so good. She's so good. And then they changed the actress, of course, in later seasons because
Is this the same one that was in the earlier seasons, or have they changed it?
So she changed about midway through season 2, just because I don't think they could bring the Japanese actress who played Bandora in Jew Ranger over. But I think whoever dubbed the voice still does the voice.
Okay.
Yeah, it's just cool to see the cast changes along the way.
It's funny.
Dig this show so much.
So I work at a retail supplement store,
right?
And one of my customers is I can't remember exactly how he was or how he was employed by Saban, but he worked with the Power Rangers.
Oh
in
my
the production
gosh!
of the Power Rangers. And we'll talk about the actors and actresses in the early seasons.
I'd love to pick his brain just because the stories of the conditions they were working under and basically what their pay was it's not good. The guy who played Jason was like, I could have been working at McDonald's full time and be making comparable pay. Which. Like they were all about, they were all about doing it on the cheap, which I mean, you're a business, of course. And now we're in some Japanese stock footage.
What? I was gonna say, what is going on? I think I've lost myself. I'm trying to like.
So we're being introduced to the new big bads of this season, the Machine Empire,
the entire galaxy, just begging to supply its resources. Okay, so these are the new guys. Okay.
Yeah, who are kicking Lord Zed and Rita out. But this is where you run into issues of using footage where I'm like, wait, Lord Zed and Rita are on the moon. You guys are clearly on the moon. What the hell is going on? Heck, my apologies. Heck. I didn't say a word. I really did dig this, like, especially when you're a kid, because you're like, oh wow, Lord Zed and Rita have been here the whole time. But
what is the for sale sign? What is that?
It's for laughs.
For sale.
But even the palace being
out.
like sinking into the moon.
Oh my goodness.
Oh, the squabbles. Did you pack the dungeon? Yes, dear.
Oh, they found the Zeo crystal. I think I might be a little ahead of you. Am I?
Oh, no. We're at the exact same time.
Okay, good.
I also loved the little touch when they first saw the Zeo crystal under the rocks. It's like, Zeo! It's like, okay, the crystal sings, apparently. You gotta imagine it would suck walking, like, looking at Lord Zed, he's just exposed muscle and fluid.
Yeah, he's kind of gross.
If he fell in the sand, like, that would suck. That would be brutal. No, so...
Be like...
He was actually an American original. They included him in season 2 because season 2 was adapted from Die Ranger, except they just didn't adapt the suits. They adapted the swords, some of the monsters, and the White Ranger because his suit looks similar enough to the Mighty Morphin ones. But then parents complained Lord Zed was too evil looking, where you're like, well, yeah,
he's pretty bad.
I know, but I love him. I'm like, oh, he's so gross looking, but so cool. I want a Lord Zed shirt because he's just...
So I got a question.
Yeah.
Okay, so you're saying adapting. So we've got the Super Sentai. Did any of that? Did they take anything from the American adaptation and like bring it back over in their production of continued Super Sentai?
So I've only gotten recently more familiar with the Sentai and actually trying to watch it. But when I've looked online, there's been some stuff they've done where they've done a lot of nods to Power Rangers. Where it's like, here's a shout out or a little reference kind of thing, but nothing directly adapting it into its continuity, because
she called him Zeddy.
Yep. Oh man, you should have. You're gonna meet her. Yeah, he's talking about Serpentera, which is just so gangster. But then you're gonna meet Rita's dad, kind of, and he is just so gross. But I feel like you'd appreciate him, just because when I first watched this in a while after watching more like old Japanese monster movies and starting to explore some anime. I'm just like, I feel like this is very distinct for some reason coming out of a Japanese franchise, where Rita's dad, Master Vile, the way he makes his monsters is he throws up an egg. It's really gross. Oh, but I'm just like, okay. This feels on par with this. I don't know why. It's just...
That's weird. It must be from Japan.
Basically. Not to be terrible, but I'm just like, it's lined up with other stuff I've seen from Japan where I'm like, this is really weird, but it seems to be... Okay, no, it's not outside my... It's not like, oh, that seems really weird. It's like, okay, nope, that's weird, but on par.
It's weird, but I love it.
Basically. So, listener, just to put you to let you know where we're at, the Rangers are stuck to the ground for the Zeo crystals, forcing them there. We're getting some...
I was gonna ask, like, why can't they just move?
Yeah,
but then you just...
Yeah, it fastened them to the ground, and now we're getting some interesting special effects.
Hey, they did what they could.
They did what they could on the cheap, which is... Oh, the falling stuff where it's just like, look up, look terrified. So, yeah, we're about 10 minutes into the episode. The command center is randomly, like, rebuilding. The Power Rangers have also fallen presumably hundreds of feet down and landed, and they're pretty okay.
And they're fine.
And they're fine.
They're fine.
Not even like a fractured wrist or anything. They're just kind of shaking some dust off. Yeah.
That guy, Billy? Is it Billy? That's the Blue Ranger?
Yes. Yeah.
He's like, what, 30 years old?
Something like that. Yeah, no, well, that's the thing. I gotta give
because he's looking pretty old in this. He's looking pretty old in this one.
Well, so are all of them. That's the thing. Like, in the original series, like, Austin St. John was the youngest, and he was like 3 years older than the character he was supposed to play. The command center is now being rebuilt out of nothing. We're like, what's going on? And now we've got Goldar's missing his wings.
Goldar.
We don't know why.
I think we had a Goldar action figure.
Goldar is
one of my brothers did.
Goldar is so cool, but when I've looked into Ranger, I can't remember what his Japanese counterpart is, but his character was married to who played Scorpina, and then at the end of the series they had
Wait a second.
Yeah.
There's people. No, I'm sorry. I'm like watching.
Oh,
yeah. Like, okay, there we go. Like they just now noticed there's two freaking monsters like in the alleyway.
Yep. And
sorry.
No, it's all good. So now these guys, they're trying to figure out who they are or where they are, so I think it's safe to say they've got amnesia for some reason. For reasons.
For reasons.
Yeah, in Goldar's original Sentai, he was married to someone, and then they had a very human-looking baby. They had some really cute moments where I was like, oh man, that's so sweet. This giant freaky space gorilla has a loving family.
Is he a gorilla? He looked more like a Blue Panther thing to me.
I think they've said he was a
gorilla.
He was inspired by a gorilla.
Here's the two buffoons.
Or as Linkara, who does the history of Power Rangers, will point out, the true heroes of the show.
I don't remember these guys.
Oh, they're so good.
Were they in the earlier seasons too?
In the original seasons, these guys actually go through the most development out of any of the characters from the first Mighty Morphin all the way through in space, because they're the only ones who are there from season 1 all the way to season 4. Or not. I was going to say,
okay, the skinny guy looks familiar now. Okay.
They were the high school bullies in season 1. And then in season 2, they were all about trying to figure out who the Power Rangers were. Now we've got more stock footage. We will always so much see this footage when it's the Machine Empire. Like, okay, let's recycle those shots. I think they're called the Quatra Fighters. I might be wrong. They always turn to the left and then fire stuff. In season 2, Bulk and Skull were all about trying to figure out who the Power Rangers were. And then in season 3, they were doing odd jobs, but then figured out they wanted to be police officers and protect people, which they've got so much development. And then in Zeo, they're this. In Turbo, for some reason, they're turned into monkeys because, well, Turbo was stupid. And then season 5, Turbo would technically be season 5. So in Space, season 6, they're just kind of around, but they still do a lot of good things. And then they stand up for the Rangers when the Rangers don't have any powers. Like, they lead the charge. They get so much development. They're really good characters.
Interesting.
So
I know when we see the Power Rangers, we're seeing American.
Yes. So
what about the Zed and Rita? And that crew.
Zed and Rita and their crew, that's American. Whenever you see the main cast of Power Rangers outside of the suits, that's American. Alpha, Zordon, American. If it's the Rangers in the suits but with their helmets off, American. Anytime it's the Machine Empire, at least right now, it's the Sentai. Most of the fight scenes when it's the Rangers and the Zords, that's the Sentai.
Okay.
But there is some stuff where they get the suits sent over. Rita yelling, "Papa, can you hear me?" Oh, it's the egg vomiter himself.
That dude is disgusting looking.
Yep.
And it's only a blurry image.
Yep, he's pretty gross.
Like, how do they come up with these things?
See, it's all just like, you got to give so much credit to Japan and just the imagination that they have, and just the monster designs and everything. It's insane.
Yeah,
it's awesome.
Goody gumdrops.
Friggin' love Lord Zed. They do eventually, as the show goes on, you do see times where the actors directly interact with like Mondo and the Machine Empire and the Cogs.
Okay.
So that's where it's like, okay, the suits got sent over. Sometimes stuff gets damaged in transit. So if you ever go back and watch the first episode or the Green Ranger stuff from Mighty Morphin, oh, that's some interesting CG right there.
It's called animation.
and not necessary. They did the best they could.
Yeah, right.
But with the Green Ranger, you could tell what was Sentai footage and what was American footage based on how good the shield looked. If the shield looked good and like it could take a hit, then you're watching the Sentai. If it looked like something like someone's mom spent a month or so, like, and it looked decent but couldn't, if a key hit it wrong, it would rip it open and the fluff would come out, then you're watching the American prop.
Okay.
All right, so listeners, since we are talking Zeo, they've just reached their hand into some green goo after hearing Alpha call them. How does it feel? Oh, it feels cool. Like,
kind of feels cool.
What about sticky or gross?
Just do it.
But it's a vortex.
Of course it's a vortex.
And that's a good squishy sound effect.
Oh, hold hands! Come on, dudes.
Well, nope. It's only the girl rangers that hold hands.
Okay, Red Ranger, you can do it.
Oh, Rocky,
you were once the leader.
No, this Red Ranger never got to be the leader.
What? Oh, yeah, I'm so lost.
So in the first run, Red was the leader, and then in every subsequent show, Red is the leader. But around the time Tommy became the White Ranger,
why are they all dirty again? What the heck?
Well, they fell in the tunnel and landed in some dust and stuff.
They weren't dirty when they entered the vortex.
Oh, they weren't?
No. What is going on?
Oh my gosh.
Whoops. That scene was added later.
Yep. Nope. You can tell Alpha's got some dramatic entrance for no reason. Oh man. All right, so now we're seeing the command center, but we're not in what was the command center. We're below it. It's now called the command chamber.
Oh.
Oh, it's more than an implosion. It'll take more than an implosion to keep Alpha down.
Of course.
Oh yes, because don't count out Alpha in as I.
Oh boy. I.
Speaking of which, you watched Alpha's Magical Christmas. How awesome was that?
Did. That was horrendous. It was so bad. It was good.
He borderline kidnaps children. Just like, what on earth is going on?
Oh, it was one of those so bad, so good. Oh, to be continued.
To be continued.
Okay, I'm gonna watch credits. No, don't go to next episode. Let's watch the credits. We always gotta watch.
And the credits are bloopers now, actually. They did this for a
really?
while. Yeah. I think it was starting in season 2 or 3. They started adding bloopers.
Huh.
Oh.
That's cool. I like bloopers.
Oh, who doesn't?
Nice. All right, so let's pause.
Yep.
Before we start the next episode.
Oh, I can't. It just started, but I'll pause.
No, go back.
Oh, wait, no. Let me pause.
No, stop.
There we go.
Okay, good.
Yep. All right, so I think that's a good place to pause. So, Bex, what were your thoughts on the first part of this, especially coming in out of nowhere?
I could definitely see myself just putting this on and just kind of having it play and chuckle and enjoy it. So, yeah.
Nice.
It's corny, it's cheesy, but it's all sorts of good cheesy, you know.
It's the right kind of cheese, right?
It is the right kind of cheese. The jokes between Rita and Zed and just the cheesy lines, and they're literally my favorites. I really couldn't care less about the Rangers. I just give me more Rita and Zed. Yes.
Are they your hashtag couple goals?
They, you know, I didn't know that was a thing, so maybe so.
It's evidently a thing, but
okay.
I do love their relationship, and especially the goody gumdrops.
Yes,
so good.
Yes. Like I don't know. It's just the right kind of cheese. Yeah, I could see myself continuing to watch this and laugh.
Awesome. All right. Well, I know we're about to pick that up as we're we're about to transition as the Rangers did from Mighty Morphin to Zeo. We are now transitioning to from One Cross Radio over to Redeemed Otaku.
Yes. Okay. So I guess I'll take it away now. Is that what I'm doing? Is I'm taking?
I was gonna say.
Or do you want to do a?
I was actually gonna say. So guys, please, Bex, where can they find us as we continue this journey into Zeo Beginnings Part 2?
Okay, so here is our master plan, everyone. This episode is obviously being posted on Chris's One Cross Radio. The second episode, you need to go over to my podcast called Redeemed Otaku, which we are on iTunes. But you can also check us out on Libsyn. I'm sorry. What is it? redeemedotaku.libsyn.com, which you can follow that on Facebook if you don't know what that is. So anyway, yes, that's what we're doing. Episode 2 coming up on my podcast here shortly.
Right on. All right. Well, dear listener, thank you for listening so much. I do encourage you to head on over to Redeemed Otaku right away to hear part 2. So we are going to head on over in just a couple seconds. So hope you enjoyed today's episode. Come on over and join us over at Redeemed Otaku, as Beck said, on iTunes, on Lisbon. I follow through podcasts because now iTunes podcast is just called podcasts for reasons.
Right.
But that's where we can be found. Come join us for Zeo Beginnings Part 2 as we can dive into more of what the Rangers are facing in the new menace of the Machine Empire. Hope you enjoyed. God bless, and see you soon.
Bye.